Past President Hewitt, oh, that's an interesting title, isn't it? Past President Hewitt. It's my great pleasure to present you with your Past President's badge, but my fingers shake too much, so I'm not going to try and pin it on. I'll leave you to do that. And it's in a lovely box.
Thank you.
Hewitt, thank you very much for your year. I'm going to say a few more words about that momentarily, but thank you again. Past President Hewitt, District Governor Graham, guests and fellow Rotarians, thank you for the honour and privilege bestowed upon me today of being the President for the next 12 months of this distinguished Rotary Club. In some ways this is a bittersweet moment, as Sue had really looked forward to sharing this day with me. But that was not to be. Instead, I'm really privileged to have with me my daughter Charlotte from Hanmer and my daughter Amanda from Sydney. And just in case, as I said before, that there wasn't anybody else turning up, I brought a crowd along with me. So my sister-in-law Mary Gow, who many of you know for her famed mulled wine concerts in Paikokariki, and another dear family friend who several of you know, Nazi Jenkin from Tawa. Past President Hewitt, your year got off to a flying start, as you said, as Captain Hewitt. In your induction speech you brought us mirth. I still remember the comment that you said your father's name was Dad. That appealed to me. Insight and vision. And you closed by asking members to set their seat backs upright, fold their tray tables away and embark on a fun-filled journey. You have led us with decorum and humour through a safe and smooth year. Your committees have been effective and you have advanced Eureka and the Forum and presided over another successful jumbo tennis tournament. You reintroduced to us the members' children and grandchildren's event, and that will be certainly one practice that I want to continue on with. I say reintroduced because the other night at the cocktail party, John Cook, I can see him sitting down there, hello John, John Cook informed me that he first came to Rotary in 1948 to a father's and son's lunch. The wheel turns again. Two projects you have presided over include the continuation of the free ambulance defibrillator program under the guidance of Peter Lawson and the exciting new project of support to the Te Aro Health Clinic under Joan Smith's auspices. Perhaps in some respects many of us will remember your year for the brilliant President's Cocktail Party you inaugurated at Premier House last Wednesday. That was an outstanding evening, thank you. May you thoroughly enjoy a well-deserved past President status. Now to the year ahead. Chet Atkins said, "A long apprenticeship is the most logical way to success." If that's the case, then surely this must be a successful year, as I started my apprenticeship to this day on the 19th of March 1984, 29 years ago. I was inducted into the club on that day following Sir John Todd proposing me for membership. My counsel to our younger members is that if you aspire to the presidency, keep at it, because eventually, even if it does take 29 years, you'll wear them down. Having served the club as treasurer for 10 years and over the last 12 months as club services director, I've seen an awful lot of the way that the board has operated. Over the years, the board has grown to consist of some 18 attendees, bigger than the total membership of some Rotary clubs. This year, I'm taking the somewhat radical step of cutting it back to 10 attendees. We have had an initial informal board meeting which was bubbling with enthusiasm and ideas. Historically, the bane of every committee chair has been reporting to the board. To the delight of this year's chairs, the only report we will be considering are those relating to progress against our strategic direction. So hopefully a very strategically focused board. Before proceeding to reveal the board members to you, I do want to pay a special tribute to President-elect Lee Wilkinson. Lee assures me that it's not personal that she couldn't be here today. She leaves on a long-planned overseas trip this afternoon. Her support to my personal situation and her encouragement of my thoughts and ideas have been unstinting and gratefully appreciated. One aspect that Lee and I have worked on, which has deep implications for the club, is that we have addressed the bylaws. Yes, I know you're sitting on the edge of your seat at this revelation. The bylaws or rules of the club haven't been reviewed in many a long year, so with the help of Leslie Moffat, we've taken a giant carving knife to them and thoroughly modernise them. I imagine that if I announce that our 5-minute talk will be on the bylaws, there will be an immediate exodus. So we'll leave it to the new board and the past presidents to sign off on them, and they will be eventually on the website. Riveting reading for all, particularly around 11 o'clock at night. So to the board. The first of 2 significant new appointments is Yusef Mora. Yusef is Strategic Director, responsible for charting a path for this club through to 2021. Your new board has already started on this project, and I must admit that the flurry of emails over the weekend, Yusef, must be of huge encouragement to you.
And relief.
And relief, yes. Some wonderful ideas coming up of what the club might look like and how it might shape itself over the period to 2021. Once we've developed our ideas, we will throw an invitation open to all club members to join us in workshopping that path. The second significant appointment is that of John McKinnon as Projects Director. You think the board's deserted me already because John's in Auckland today, unfortunately, he couldn't be with us. Members will be aware that we have 4 major ongoing projects, the growth of which are crowding out other activities which their sponsoring committees should be undertaking. Consequently, John is picking up responsibility for the Forum, Eureka, Jumbo Tennis and tree planting projects. There are separate committees for each of these projects, and the committee chairs will come under John's oversight. Because communications is so relevant to each of these projects, Denise Church, with responsibility for external communications, and Francis Weavers, with responsibility for internal communications, will also come into John's portfolio. Lee Wilkinson is both President-elect and Club Services Director, and is picking up fellowship with Leslie Moffat. I haven't seen Leslie today. Is she here? No. Fundraising, Mark's here. Mark Stevens has picked up fundraising. Thank you, Mark. Speakers, Liz Tennant. Thank you, Liz. Great job. And Sergeants Grant Urich. I haven't seen Grant. Is he around today? No. So Grant's picking up that thinning hair that Duncan displayed before. I'm particularly excited about the range of speakers that Liz has on her list. I think we're going to be subjected to some serious thinking, some controversy and some humour. Sue Wellsworth is Community Services Director. Sue, here today? No? Goodness, I have got a lost board, haven't I? Paul Arden is Membership. Paul, down, no, lost Paul, sorry either. Membership Director. Karen Thomas has New Generations. Richard Norman has Vocational. Richard is hopefully at RI headquarters today, trying to break his way in through the door. And Gerald McGee, International, he's also touring overseas. Karen Dukas is Honorary Secretary, and Wayne Morgan is the Honorary Treasury. And Stephen Brown, where is Stephen? Oh, there he is. Stephen is the past President on the board. In our 5-minute talk slot, you will be hearing from each of these directors as our year goes through. In particular, Yusef will update you regularly on the strategic direction, and Wayne will provide a quarterly report on the state of finances. The committee lists are very nearly finalised, and I have to say thank you very much to everybody for having nominated which committee you're on. Hopefully this year you're on a committee that you want to be rather than one that I have designated you to be on. It's been a huge task, and the flurry of emails over the weekend has been tremendous, so we're just about there. We've got 1 or 2 left to go, but I hope that'll be out either later this week or early next week. One new committee you will see is the Buddy Committee. Kate Mitchell made the very helpful suggestion to me that having someone to hold the hand, as it were, of a new member for the first 6 months would be very helpful. And so the Buddy Committee has come into being, and there will be several members on the Buddy Committee whose job it is to just look after new members, discuss with them the protocols that we have at lunch and so on. We are now familiar with the associate member category, but 2 other categories have been announced by RI, and we will be exploring them. They are the family membership and the corporate membership. Paul will talk more about those in due course. Finally, some minor changes to our lunch meeting. You may have noticed, no you haven't because it hasn't arrived, but our clock is going to be back up there again. It's been missing for quite a while. This parapet up here, it's been missing for quite a while, and that will allow us to monitor the speakers very closely to a 15-minute limit this year. Your new board is very keen that more of the meeting time is allocated to club and Rotary news, so we need to create the space to do that. The 5-minute talks will be a combination of newer members introducing themselves and regular reports on committee activities. I think we need to remind ourselves of the significance of service above self and also the 4-way test. so we will allocate time for these as well. As from next Monday, we'll have an intimate table for 4 at the front, being the speaker, the introducer thanker, the sergeant and the president, rather than the president's top table, which I know Hewitt's had huge difficulty in making sure that all the members turn up for. So we're going to have a much more intimate gathering at the front. I make no apologies for regaling you with all that detail, but the board is of the view that we want club members to have ownership of the club. We invite your thoughts and ideas on how to continually strengthen our club for the next generation and its service to our communities. The year of the apprentice has started. Thank you.